Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in Elmira, New York. It is big time wrestling at the First Arena Southern Tier Slam. The gentleman next to me in the main event tonight is the one and only Big Poppa Pump, Scott Steiner. Scott, first off, we want to say thank you for joining us. What are we going to expect tonight in this main event?
Whatever I've done throughout my career, just beating somebody up. That's what I get paid for. That's what I love to do. So, still doing it.
Yeah, we love it. And I know that you've transformed your career, into Poppa Pump from the Michigan days, of being the wrestler there. How did that transformation come about, as well, for your career?
Well, it was just the culmination of my career and how it took place. Because when I first came into wrestling, I was right out of college, University of Michigan. So that I was basically in that frame of mind. So. I always wanted to wrestle with my brother, but then when I changed over to Big Poppa Pump, became a bad guy and, changed my hairstyle, the way I wrestled, changed my character, everything is, that's kind of really the way I thought where my mind was at that time. It's a lot of politics, a lot of, bull in wrestling.
Yeah.
And that's just the way my mind was, and that. And people seemed to like it. They took off with it, and they, because my interviews were the way I thought, and they were, and it came across that way. It was believable because that's what I was thinking, So, fortunately, the people, the fans, got with it and and liked it. So.
Yeah, and really the rest of is history. We're right here on WrestlingInc.com with the one and only Big Poppa Pump, Scott Steiner. And I got to ask this question. The Freaks in Peaks, it really is just, taking on a life of its own today. How did that come about?
Just life. It wasn't, my experiences, throughout my career. And it's this, you expand on that and kind of exaggerate a little bit, and people love that also. It was just it was a crazy time.
Yeah.
So
and it still is. We're going to see some Freaks and Peaks tonight, right here in Elmira, and the Steiner brothers, taking it back a little bit in the classic side now, considered one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
The greatest tag team of all time.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. And you voiced some opinions about the WWE Hall of Fame and how that's really not a legitimate Hall of Fame in many aspects.
You think can you go somewhere and visit someplace if it doesn't exist? No. Like how do you say it's legit? I mean, it defies all logic. You can't have a Hall of Fame and you can't visit it. It's in somebody's mind. It's a creation of all of his own and thing that, it's just, it boggles my mind that people care about getting in the Hall of Fame, going to a place that it doesn't exist. Like, would you go to a grocery store and get, get groceries, but there's no store, no food? No. I mean, what's the point? I mean, it's just such a freaking joke. It drives me crazy. It's like, I don't give a The Hall of Fame doesn't exist. You can't visit it. I get tired of talking about it because it's so stupid. And people take it so serious. They get busts. They, get these things made of it. I mean, where does it go during the rest of the year? In a warehouse there collecting dust? I mean, some guys just totally mark out on themselves and think this is great. No, it's freaking fake, man. Are you kidding me? It doesn't exist. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Scott.
I mean, I'm sorry we're going on a tangent, but people ask me that question all the time. And it's like, I give the same answer every time because it's like, it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? You might as well put the Hall of Fame on the moon and say, hey, there's the Hall of Fame up on that moon. Damn! I wish I could see it go up there one day.
Yeah.
It's the same. You ain't never going to go to the moon and visit the Hall of Fame. Just like I don't care if it was on Earth, you're not going to visit it either.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So what if they? I know they've probably made attempts. The World Wrestling Entertainment probably, if they'd reached out to you, say next year or the years to come, and say, hey, we want you and your brother to come in. What would you say to that?
Well, it's like anything else. You got to pay. He gets paid for the show. The network pays for him to have that show. You know what I mean? If you're going to pay me, sure. Pay me. I mean, these guys who do it for free, the whole concept is crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's amazing that, but people do it.
That's right. They move forward. And just like us in our interview here is, so many great iconic moments in your career, spanning from the WCW days, WWE, now with TNA. I know that what stands out most to you, certainly NWO, a great time in your career, but if you had to pick a few moments, what stands out to you in your mind?
Well, I think the moments stick out is when you win a world title, world tag team titles, stuff like that. And of course, when you win something in front of something, like you mentioned NWO, man, that was the greatest time in professional wrestling for us, because, we were going to big stadiums, Georgia Dome, we're going to domes, and that was when it was great. And that was the most profitable time in wrestling. So that was, of course, the best. And unfortunately, unless, a Murdoch or another TV company gets involved, it'll never be like that again. And another thing that sticks out was when we went to Pyongyang, North Korea, 193,000 people, 3 nights in a row. I mean, that's a record that will be hard to break. It was amazing. That was for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that was another period that stuck out with me. But like you said, it's always great when there's the house is packed.
Right.
Yeah. So it makes it fun for everybody.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. And I wanted to ask you this too. A lot of moments. What exactly would be the wildest moment of your career that comes to mind? You say, man, that's hard to top.
Well,
could be anything.
That's what it was behind the scenes with my freaks. That's why they don't call me the big bad booty daddy for nothing. It's because the moments I had with my freaks and going to places, erotica. I mean, it doesn't get no better than with a woman. So that's probably the highlight behind the scenes. It's like, but it's also which tops the stuff I did in the camera, because women are beautiful creatures, man. Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, as do I. And I guess some of those stories are probably better left for another time, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. The good times I've had. It's like I can't imagine anybody had more fun than I did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
Scott, just a couple more quick questions here for WrestlingInc.com. Is one of the things I want to ask you tonight is talk about Eli Drake as a performer. Obviously, you tag team with him, in TNA Wrestling right now.
Yeah, Eli. This past Sunday, we did a pay-per-view together, and we won the World Tag Team titles for him. And I never really met Eli before until the time he called me in to want me to help him beat somebody up. So, and from that on, he's going to be a top-notch wrestler. He's going to be the top guy in professional wrestling. He has it all, professionally in the ring, and plus he has a gift of gab, which is one of the most important things, So he should dominate wrestling for the next decade or so. I believe. I think he has it all.
That's fantastic. And I know that the most recent pay-per-view event, you pulled off a move that many fans are still talking about right now. The top rope, Steiner. I mean, how did you pull that off?
Well, it's the move I invented. Some jack-off announcers try to call it a Hurricane Rana, but I was the one that invented it. And so, I hadn't done it in like 4 or 5 years. But, like during that match, during the World Tag Team title, my name was trending number 6 worldwide. So, which is, it was great. It's like, I mean, I appreciate the fans for doing that. It's like the time that we were on TV, the NWO era, and I said, you can't beat those, because there's just a sheer volume of numbers that people were watching, just flicking back and forth to us in the WWF. So that TV was powerful back then. So that's, people still, people remember me, which is, I appreciate my fans,
Yeah. What's the future look like for you? I know that you did a recent promo in TNA Wrestling. You say, hey, it always seems like people call me and they want someone to get beat up.
Yeah, it's like my name keeps on coming up because there's a couple things I know how to do, and I do beat people up good. So as long as they keep on calling, I'll keep on beating somebody up. It's a lot of things that you do in the ring you can't do in life. Otherwise you get arrested. So and punching them and beat somebody up is something you can do. So I had fun. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, they say that not very many people in life get a chance to live their passion every day. You've done it for year in and year out. A polished professional, so to speak, of pounding people.
Yeah, I never really watched wrestling as a kid. I was always into amateur wrestling, but once I turned pro, and it's like I appreciate what this business has done for me, and I appreciate the fans, and I always try to put on a good show for them.
So my last two things here tonight. Scott Steiner, Big Poppa Pump right here, WrestlingInc.com, is this right here. Recently you mentioned that, dream matches for you would have been Stone Cold Steve Austin, would have been The Rock in the WWE run. My question to you is this: what would have happened to those guys in the ring if Poppa Pump got a hold of them?
Oh, it would have been a beatdown. I mean, I wrestled Steve Austin when he was in WCW, but he wasn't Stone Cold, Mm-hmm. But and then The Rock, I just looked at it as entertainment value, as the back and forth we could have done, verbally, and like those guys are. I was fan of those guys when I was world champion, Mm-hmm. So it could have been interesting, the stuff we could have done, So unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But I was a big fan of those guys and the things that we could have, the interaction just in. On the mic and stuff would have been great, I think.
Yeah, it would have been tremendous. And, back then, certainly the time marches on, so to speak, but Poppa Pump's here to stay, no doubt about it. One of my last things tonight for sure is, we talked about those moments. We talked about winning the championship, the NWO, the Freaks and Peaks, Steiner recliner, you name it. What is it about winning a championship that changed your career? Being the man that changed your career?
Yeah, that's the thing. When you win a world title, you got it legitimizes what you're doing, and it also, you can command a lot more money. Mm-hmm. So your paycheck goes up, and being a world champion, you get paid more, and people come to see you. So that's the main thing is getting paid. People pay to come see you.
Scott Steiner, I'm going to leave this open to you to talk to your freaks and peaks out there right here, right now, here on WrestlingInc.com. Any final messages for the freaks?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't have done anything well with my fans, whether it was with the Steiner brothers or Big Poppa Pump. And, of course, my special freaks, Big Bad Booty Daddy. So it was like, I couldn't have done nothing without them, and I appreciate them still following me, still, supporting me. So, and it's been great.
Excellent. Scott, we want to thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Nice meeting you, man.
We'll do a little out cue right here, right now. WrestlingInc.com, Andy Malnoske with the one and only, the legendary Big Poppa Pump, Scott Steiner. Don't miss it tonight. Big Time Wrestling. We'll check it out.